Amid Israel's ground offensive, there are fresh airstrikes that have hit a United Nations-run school in northern Gaza at a refugee camp. Hundreds of people are believed to be taking shelter there, fleeing Israeli attacks. CBC's Ellen Morrow is in Jerusalem and is tracking that part of the story.
Well, we are seeing these reports, Natasha, of a deadly blast in Jabalia that's hit a UN-run school turned shelter where, as you said, hundreds of people are believed to be sheltering. Now, there's still a lot we don't know at this hour. The Hamas-run Gaza Health Ministry says at least 50 people were killed in the blast. We have seen some video emerging purporting to show the aftermath of the blast, and it is incredibly horrific. Dead bodies lying amidst broken glass and damage from the building. And we have had a reaction from the UN, from UNRWA, which is the largest aid agency in Gaza that operates that school turned shelter. We can show you what we're hearing from the head of that agency. He wrote, "Receiving horrifying images and footage of scores of people killed and injured in another UNRWA school sheltering thousands of displaced in the north of the Gaza Strip. These attacks cannot become commonplace. They must stop. A humanitarian ceasefire cannot wait any longer." And several UN facilities have been damaged throughout this war. That's what he's referring to in this tweet. Now, in terms of exactly what happened, it's still unclear at this hour. We're waiting for more detail from the Israel Defense Forces. There was a tweet that they posted that references Jabalia, saying that forces were operating in the Jabalia area, that there was fighting there, and that they eliminated Hamas infrastructure. But again, in terms of what's happened exactly with that blast, it is still unclear. Israel has hit Jabalia earlier in the war with airstrikes that Israel says took out Hamas infrastructure and fighters, but it was criticized for those strikes. The UN at the time saying they could amount to possible war crimes given the devastating effect that those strikes had on civilians.
Ellen, so much of the coverage today is focused on that school, on the refugee camp. But as you know, for days and days, we've been talking about the Al-Shifa hospital and the wider complex around it and the growing humanitarian crisis there. What can you tell us about that today?
Well, hundreds of people, patients and people who were sheltering at Al-Shifa Hospital have appeared to have evacuated the facility. We've seen some pictures emerging of them evacuating on foot, those who were able to, because remember, there are critically injured and sick people at that hospital. Now, it's a little unclear what exactly prompted this evacuation. This morning, doctors at Al-Shifa, as well as the Gaza Health Ministry run by Hamas, were putting out statements saying that Israel had given just 1 hour's notice for people to evacuate the hospital, causing panic at the hospital. Israel said something different. It denied giving an evacuation order and said that it was operating under a request from the hospital administration to help people get out. So conflicting narratives there. What we can say is that some people have left, moving to the south. Where they'll go once they get to the south is incredibly unclear. Shelters are overrun. There's overcrowded tent cities. As you said, Israel is asking people to move from some areas of the south. So it is very unclear where those people are going to go. And patients still remain at the facility. A doctor there says about 100 patients remain critically ill who can't evacuate on foot, as well as those newborn babies who we've been speaking so much about. It's just obviously too unsafe to move those people without ambulances. They can't do it. So the dire humanitarian situation at that hospital remains for those patients. Just a few doctors left to treat them. Israeli troops remain at Al-Shifa, Natasha, looking for more evidence, they say, of Hamas operating at the facility.
CBC's Ellen Morrow in Jerusalem.